And welcome back to the show. Well, the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted many journalists and newsrooms in one way or another. The Riverdale Press team recently won 8 statewide awards at the New York Press Association's Better Newspaper Contest, including one of the organization's most prestigious, the Past President's Award for General Excellence. The 8 awards won by the Riverdale Press contributed to a record 34 total awards won by all of the Richner Communications newspapers. Joining us now to share a little bit more is the editor at the Riverdale Press, Michael Hinman. And Michael, good to have you here, and welcome back to Open.
Hey, thank you, Daren. Thank you. Thanks so much for having me on.
Hey, glad to have you, and certainly congratulations to the Riverdale Press. As I said in the intro, you guys are the recipients of several awards. What's it like for you being an awardee, especially during a pandemic?
Well, it's funny because that's not really one of the things that we aim for, and I'm sure a lot of editors will tell you that. But and it's true. I think for most part for all of us. But usually it's just like what you're doing all the time. It's just you're just trying to get through the grind every single day, every single
Yeah.
week. And the pandemic hasn't made that much easier. We've won something like I think 31 awards since I've gotten here or something like that. And it's but it's a team effort. It really is. It's really all about the people that you surround yourself with, and you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with. So the awards that we got here, especially the General Excellence Award, that's an overall team effort. That's everybody, and that's not even just reporters. That's not even just editors. That's everybody. That's circulation, ads, everybody that helps put that newspaper together.
Yeah. Throughout the course of the show, we're talking to nurses. It's National Nurses Month. And of course,
Oh,
we're spending time talking to nurses. But the one thing that's the highlight is they talk about team. And you talked about it yourself, being able to put it together as a team. What's it been like for you guys as a team navigating through this pandemic, bringing journalism home to people?
well, I will tell you that I don't think that we could have done this 20 years ago for sure. I have reporters on my staff who I have not even physically met. And that's really unheard of. We're, a newsroom is it's like a lot of creative environments. It's a group and it's a group thing. It's where everybody's together. Everybody can toss ideas off each other, ask each other questions by shouting over, the cubicle barrier, those kind of things. But when you're doing this remotely, when everybody is scattered all over the place and you're not even physically seeing people, it really does. It's hard because a lot of good stories come from what we call reporter osmosis, which is, you're out and about, you're on the bus, you overhear somebody talking about something that sounds interesting. Maybe that's something I should look into. Or somebody sees you on the street or in the store and they come up and have to tell you something. And so when you don't get those kind of things, which is the really excellent hyper local type of stories that you get from that, it's a lot more difficult. So we have to be able to navigate that and find new ways of trying to find those stories. And team's been working really hard to do that.
Talk to us about where we are with the issue, because amidst this pandemic, that in itself is the issue. But you guys were able to really nail down and pin down a few issues during this time. What were some of the issues that really caught your attention?
Well, obviously, we were focused a lot on the nursing home aspects. We have a lot of great nursing home facilities. And of course, and so many people that we adore and love, readers, other people we've done stories on. So it's been one of those things that's really impacted a lot of that. And of course, as everybody knows, the pandemic's affected every aspect of our life. Everything about our lives that could be affected was affected by this. But I think, for us, the hardest part was losing some of the people that, that we knew over the years. And we've lost a few, and it's been very tough. Even when I read about people or write about people who I actually never met, it's so heartbreaking. And for me, it's hard when people don't take the pandemic seriously, when they're not going out and practicing social distancing or wearing masks or getting vaccinated, and not treating this as serious as they should. For me, it's just I find it highly disrespectful, for those that we've lost and those who have suffered because of it.
Yeah, it's sad to watch people who really think it's a joke or don't take it for granted when we realize that more than 500,000 Americans have lost their lives, and many of those coming right here out of New York City, and more particularly the borough of the Bronx. I want to talk a little bit more about some of the work that you did in terms of coverage. In addition to the nursing homes, I know also small business and businesses with a particular linear focus on the Kingsbridge businesses. Give us a little bit about the work that you did there.
Yeah, I mean, that was actually kind of interesting. I believe, and I'm trying to think back because some of this was, it seems like so long ago now because of this pandemic.
Right.
It's like every day stretches into its own year by itself. I wasn't gray before all this, I promise. Um, but no, I mean, there was a report that came out, from what I understand, from what I remember, that talked about that was a survey basically of storefronts, where they had people going around to different business corridors and looking at storefronts. Was there activity? Was there not activity there? So was there an open store there? Basically, was there not? And what was really interesting is that throughout the pandemic, that the Kingsbridge area, which is basically a stretch along Broadway and some of that surrounding area, in the northern part of the Bronx and northwestern part of the Bronx, that businesses were actually doing pretty well, like compared to the rest of the city. So trust me, they were struggling. We know a lot of businesses that were struggling, and even our business struggled. Everybody struggled through all of this, but it was nice to see that there were some highlights in that there was some silver lining in those clouds, especially in an area like Kingsbridge, which doesn't get a lot of attention that it deserves. And I mean, it's a great business quarter. I'm always down there. So I mean, some of my favorite eateries are down there, and I mean, and it's just it's a great place to be, and I want to see that be vibrant because I think it's kind of it's one of those central hubs that we really need.
Yeah. So for you, what's it been like? I mean, you talked about having reporters that you haven't even met yet. Has it been quite challenging to get the story out and to be able to talk to people? I mean, one of the things I'll say for us has been we've been able probably to talk to more people now because they're, first of all, they're home, but second of all, with the emergence of Zoom and other other ways of capturing, we have a way of being able to get more people under our bandwidth.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's pluses and minuses to all of that. I definitely think that there are, that like for instance, I think I've attended more community board meetings than I ever have in my life because sometimes I could just turn it on and have it running in the background while I'm working, where I don't have to physically go somewhere, and I do like that. But at the same time, I mean, I miss some of the stories that I would get from going to the meeting, which is not what happened at the meeting, but talking to people afterward, which is something you can't really do in a virtual environment. Like, it's not really people hanging out on a Zoom afterward, and coming up to you and wanting to talk to you or just say hello and then suddenly come up with a story idea that they didn't even realize they have. And so, so I do miss some of that. I mean, I think that it has changed a little bit of of our approach to society, but I don't think it's been as dramatic as some people think. I really do feel that as soon as we're all able to get back and be in groups and stuff together again, we're all going to be going toward that again.
Yeah, yeah. Well, before we go, I wanted to get an opportunity to talk a little bit more about your colleagues winning I should say, state awards. And the Riverdale Press, if you haven't just tuning in, the winner of multiple awards, and we're highlighting the Riverdale Press, and Michael's been with us. But tell people as they're looking forward to see what's happening with the Riverdale Press coming up in the future, what can they expect?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing that I'm very excited about is that joining what our already fantastic team that we have, is we're bringing in a reporter through the Report for America program, who's going to be focused primarily on housing. His name is Joseph De La Cruz, and his focus is going to be, just laser focused on housing in the Bronx, in the city as a whole, and looking at a lot of the many issues that are involved with that in terms of affordable housing, any housing whatsoever, trying to get access to apartments, all that kind of stuff. I mean, a lot of stuff that we couldn't really focus on, as reporters, because we're doing so many other things on our beats. So having somebody focused on that and doing that through Report for America is great. I mean, and you have to understand too that our reporting staff has been, reduced because of the pandemic. So the people that we have on there, Rose Brennan, Ethan Stark Miller, Aram Duran, I mean, these are people who work very, very hard, who are, I think, doing the impossible every single week. And I mean, they're putting together great stories and finding them and writing them and getting them together. And it's just like I said, it's a team effort to get it all done and get it all done where we're all still sane at the end of it. So, I mean, I'm just, very lucky. I think all of us, the whole community is very lucky to have this team put together.
Yeah. Before we leave, tell people how they can get in touch and watch read the Riverdale Press and other watch. Right, that's
I mean, you
me.
can watch it. I don't know what it's going to do.
Watch me, read you. So for people who want to read the Riverdale Press, talk to us about how people can get put their hands on it.
Well, the best way is always to subscribe. I mean, our website is riverdalepress.com. If you want to subscribe, just add a little slash and type in the word subscribe. We're also available in a lot of stores around the Riverdale Kingsbridge area, and you can find us online, riverdalepress.com.
All right. Michael Hinman, our guest from the Riverdale Press, editor. Congratulations on all the awards and really bringing journalism home during a time like this. Very, very impactful and very much needed. Thanks a lot, Michael.
Thank you so much for having me on, Darren.
All righty. You heard how you can get in touch with them at the Riverdale Press. Listen, we got more show. Don't go anywhere. Open's coming up right after this.